Hello friends, welcome again. Today we are going to decode business buzzword Agile. So it's a very hot topic now. Everyone is running after Agile. So what is Agile? So we will see the definition of Agile, how it comes in picture, what are the principles, the manifesto of Agile, the advantages, and when we can go for Agile methodology. So basically I have divided this into two parts. So the first part will contain whatever I just spoke, and in the second half, in the next lecture, we are going to discuss the methods of Agile, like Scrum or Kanban, and all the terminologies which will be coming in picture when we are following these methods of Agile. So for now, let's see what is Agile. So what is Agile? If we go by Oxford Dictionary, so a term Agile means able to move quickly and easily. Okay. So when we say Agile, what is the first thing which comes in picture, which comes in mind? It is something called a sprint. So as you can see in this picture, we are having different sprints. So can we conclude anything? What is Agile from this from this picture? We can see something called sprint 1, sprint 2, then final sprint. So basically we can say that our requirements have been broken down into small bits and pieces. They have been clubbed and they are naming it as sprint. So instead of making a complete product in a one go as we do in a waterfall model, it will be divided, and there will be a sprints from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and this particular requirements will be developed and product will be given to the client, the working software. Okay, let's go into more detail. So if we talk about the Agile cycle, so this is how a simple Agile cycle will look like. So here consider we are having many requirements which are in the backlog. So if we go for all the requirements in one go, it will going to take a long time, because first we need to plan out all the requirements. We need to have a brainstorming on all the requirements, and then we will be coming to planning, and it's going to take a time if we are taking all the requirements in one. So Agile comes with an alternative, that instead of taking all the requirement in once, we will take some requirements and make a sprint out of it, and like we are going to deliver it in a very short cycle for say 1 month. So in 1 month these requirements will be picked, developed, tested, and then it will be given to the client for the feedback. So this is the Agile cycle. Now we have understand at a higher level what is Agile. Now let's see definition for Agile. So Agile is a time-boxed iterative approach to software delivery that builds software incrementally from the start of the project instead of trying to deliver it all at once near the end. So as we discussed, we are dividing the whole project into sprints, which is a time boxed, and we are following the iterative approach. We are not going to build the product in once, but we are going for a iteration method, and slowly we are going to develop on top of what we have done in last sprint. Now we are going to work in the coming sprint. We will build on top of the previous sprint, and incrementally we are building the product. So this is a definition for Agile. So again, as we discussed, it works by breaking the functionality into bits, dividing the whole set of functionalities into some bits or stories. Then we prioritize them, and continuously we will take those requirements based on the priorities. We are going to plan a sprint based on the priorities. We are going to pick the requirement, we are going to develop, test and deliver those in a very short iteration of 2 to 4 weeks. Now, very interesting how it come in picture in software industry about the Agile. What is Agile? How it comes in picture? So in 2001 in US, Utaha Snow World ski resort, 17 software developers, they got together to come up with this Agile manifesto. So basically they got together because they meant to streamline the software development process by de-emphasizing inefficient practices such as heavy documentation, excessive meetings and rigid adherence to the process. Because we have seen in the waterfall method, we are having so many processes, and we have very heavy documentation, and most of it is not even used. Even after when we are delivering the product, that is never been used, so it's all gone waste. So basically they tried to remove all these inefficiencies from the model, and they came up with something called Agile Manifesto. And back then they were not even aware that how popular and a buzzword it will become in the following years. So finally the conclusion of this meeting was a Agile Manifesto. So what is Agile Manifesto? I will read out. So Agile Manifesto, you can get it from the Agile Alliance. You can get this. One second guys. Okay, so sorry for the disturbance. So Agile Manifesto, so what basically Agile Manifesto says, I will first read it out, then we will go in detail. So basically it says that we are uncovering better ways of developing a software by doing it and helping others to do it. Through this work we have come to the below values: individuals and interactions over process and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiations, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. Okay, so basically these people came up with a 4-point agenda, but these are not a simple one-liners. It has much depth in it, so we will go one by one. So the first point, individual and interactions over process and tools. So what does it mean? So basically if individuals are aligned, like if they have a good networking, if they have a close bond with their team members, they have a good alignment, and once they understand each other, the team can resolve any issues with the tools or processes. So tool and processes, if you see a real scenario, tools and processes is not a problem, it is available, but it is about the bonding. If they have a good understanding, then they can definitely resolve any issues. And on the other hand, if they are blindly sticking to the process, it might cause a misunderstanding. So if there is not a transparency, for example, me and there is one more other person, we are doing a individual set of work, and I am not aware what that person is doing, or he is not aware what I am doing, maybe at some point I may have some knowledge experience from my previous project which can help the other person out, but we are never in we have never interacting, we don't know each other, so it's a loss only. But consider the other way around. If we have a good bonding, we are meeting every day, we are having everyday connect, everyday meeting, we are aware of each other's work, then at some point we can do that. So what we say, a cross-functional knowledge. So every individual will have some uniqueness, some unique values. So they have some, I am good at something, the other person might be good at something, but if we come together and we help each other out, the work will be easy to do. So instead of sticking to the process, which might cause misunderstanding among the individuals, it is good to create and create the unexpected roadblocks, thereby resulting in a project delay. So allowing individuals to contribute on their own, allow them to showcase freely as what they can bring to the table. When their team interactions are direct towards solving a common problem, the result can be quite powerful. So this is very important point. Like in Agile world, everyone is independent. In the term independent, in the term that they are free to bring their views, bring their views in the team discussion. So every individual is valued, and and they have been encouraged to talk, to interact. So that is individuals and interactions over process and tool. Now second, working software over comprehensive documentation. So this we have discussed in the waterfall model, that in waterfall model we have very detailed documentation which can cause a delay, a negative impact, and what will be the end result. Even after doing all this heavy documentation, it may end up in a product which is not been expected by the client. Client expectations may differ. So what this manifesto says, a working product at any point of day is better indicator of alignment to the customer needs and expectations than a documentation created months ago. And that too, a documentation is being created when a software is not in picture. So there uses to come changes, like when we are working on the requirements, we are collecting the requirements and freezing the requirements at that point of time, and down the months, like 3-4 months down the line, when we are actually developing, there may be many changes, and when we are seeing a prototype of that, then customer will come up with some more requirements or some basic changes in that requirement. So it is always better to have a working prototype or a product. Showing a working software to the client when the sprints end, it's much better. So what happens that you are showcasing your work to the customer in the small intervals called sprint. So in a way, it's a check that whether you are on a right track or not. And on the other hand, customer will also get a chance to revisit the requirement, and if the working software is not as per their expectations, they can come up with some changes in the requirement. Now customer collaboration over contract negotiations. So what is a contract negotiation? So negotiation means maybe it's about the requirements that we are in negotiation, what customer wants, what we can deliver, and maybe on some other thing, maybe budgeting part or something, we are in negotiations. So negotiation means that the details are still being captured, and yet not been finalized. So there is still a scope of renegotiation. But once the negotiation is over, there can be no discussion over it. So basically, if we see a waterfall model, so we have a discussion with the client at the start when we are gathering the requirements, and once the requirements have been freezed, all the things have been finalized, then we are not interacting to the client. But Agile is the other way around. So what Agile says, that instead of negotiation, go for a collaboration. So instead of negotiating, work together. So we, the software industry and the client, they can work together. So we have a two-folded advantage, as we discussed already. First, it helps team to do a course correction. So if they are going wrong, customer can, after the sprint review, they can suggest some better ways or some change in the requirements, or if there is any misunderstanding, they can correct us. And second thing is it also gives the liberty to the client to redefine their vision and to redefine their requirements. So this is a advantage. So in Agile team, we are focusing more that we are aligned to the customer's need. Now respond to change over following a plan. Now in today's era, this is very important because all the things are very dynamic. If we are coming up with some requirement in the start of the year, we cannot guarantee that it will hold good till the end of the year also. There may be some government mandate which keeps on changing. So something which is valid at the start of the year may not hold good at the end of the year. So it is very important point. So common perception in waterfall model is changes are costly, but if we go by experience, so our experience teaches that changes are most inevitable part, and instead of running away from it, we should try to embrace and plan for it. In Agile, we welcome the changes. We consider it as a feedback and we welcome the changes. Whereas in the waterfall strictly follows the plan, and it doesn't encourage any change because it goes in a phase way. So that's why waterfall doesn't encourage the changes, and it costs much in a waterfall method too. We will see that at the end. Okay, now we have seen a manifesto, so we will redefine the definitions what we have gone through the Agile, a much easier one. So basically, Agile project management is an iterative development methodology that values human communications, feedback, adapting to change, and producing working results. So it's much simple that we are focusing more on human values instead of the software, and we are more focused on the client's review and their requirements. Now basically in that meeting in Agile, they came up only with the manifesto. Now it is up to the user how they understand that Agile manifesto. So if you are going to different project managers or different persons, they will give a different view, because manifesto is a kind of a preamble from where you can every individual will see it, will have a different view seeing a manifesto. So finally the Agile Alliance, they came up with a 12 principles, so which will be helpful for the project to move to the Agile way, to keep a better track. So there are 12 principles which needs to be followed to work in an Agile way. So first of all, the Agile is all about the customer. So highest priority is to satisfy the customer through the early and continuous delivery of a valuable software. Okay. Welcome changes. So as we discussed, in today's competitive era, it is very important to welcome the changes. Then we deliver a working software frequently over a couple of weeks or a couple of weeks to month, with a preference to a shorter time cycle. Now all the people working in the project, the business people, the developer, even the tester, they need to work together daily throughout the project. Build project around motivated individuals. So more emphasis is given to our individuals. Now it's a responsibility of a Scrum Master to keep individuals motivated, to take their view, to encourage them to talk, to interact, and give them an environment of support they needed, and they need to build a trust. And one more important thing is, as we are discussing very oftenly about the interactions, so face-to-face conversation is given more importance. Now working software is a primary measure of our progress. Instead of some documentation or metrics, a working software is a primary measure of our progress. Now Agile process promotes a sustainable development. That means the sponsor, developers and the user, they should have to maintain a constant pace. So what does it mean? That suppose if we are having 1 year long project, if it is Agile way, it doesn't mean that in the starting 1 month, 2 months we work very hard, we work out day and night out, and we have a very good pace, but in the remaining 10 months we slow down. No, we have to maintain a constant pace. And there is something called functional cross training. So Agile encourages a functional cross training. So a continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. So in Agile, working on Agile, we need to have someone having a good technical excellence, good knowledge. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is much essential. So it's a reverse way of tracking how much work is still being left. The best architecture requirements and designs emerge from a self-organized teams. So you are not going and allotting the work to the team, but based on their capability, they will pick their set of work on their own. You need not have to guide them. Or so basically all the individuals are equal, and based on their capability, we leave them independent. There is no monitoring policy in Agile. So based on their capability, they can pick their own piece of work. At regular interval, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjust its behavior accordingly. Okay, much clear. Now we have seen the manifesto, we have seen the principles. Now coming to the real life examples. So I ask you guys, have you seen any real life agile example in a day-to-day life? You might have seen but never noticed. So here we go. So for example, when we are going to a subway and the person is standing at the counter, that person asks us and give us the option to build our own meal. That is a part of the agile, that at every phase they are asking what bread we want, what sausages we want, what vegetables we want. So they are interacting continuously with the client and checking with the client for their requirements. Similarly, if we go to Apple bar, so when we go here, instead of filling a form what problem we are facing, there will be, instead of filling up the form, there will be a person to help us and who will continuously take a feedback from us, that what problem we are facing, and all the details they will continuously take. So here comes the interaction, that directly interacting with a client is always better than filling up the form. Now coming to the sports, whether we talk about the cricket, football, baseball, so agile is a part of any sports because the requirements are very dynamic. So for example, we can step into the ground with some fixed plan, but we have to be dynamic and we have to change that as per the current requirements, the requirements at that time. We need to be dynamic, so we need to embrace the changes and we need to replan. So these are some real life examples of agile project. Now let's talk about advantage of agile. So first of all, stakeholder engagement. So one second. So sorry for the disturbance. Now coming to the advantages of agile. So first of all, the stakeholder vision. So we are discussing this from the very start of this lecture. This is one of the biggest advantage of the agile, that we are engaging the stakeholder from the very start of the project till the end. So there is a high degree of collaboration and we can understand the client vision because we are delivering the working software after every sprint and we are getting a feedback. So we are going a iterative way and we are improving based on that feedback. So high quality working software can be delivered because we have a stakeholder engagement. But again, it can be a disadvantage also. We will discuss that later on. Transparency. Now agile gives us a unique opportunity for client to be involved throughout the project, from prioritizing features to iteration planning and review sessions to frequently build a software. So that's a advantage here. Again, it's something related to a stakeholder management. So now another thing is early and predictable delivery. So what does it mean? So we are having a fixed schedule sprints of 1 to 4 weeks and new features being delivered quickly and frequently with high level of predictability. So it's very predictable that sprint is fixed of 2 weeks, 4 weeks depending on the project. They are fixed timelines. So it is predictable and early because after every sprint we are taking a feedback. We will be having a walkthrough with our client, so we are getting a feedback, and if we are not on the same page, we are detecting that early and we get a chance to improvise. And apart from that, it will also give the opportunity for beta testing early. We will talk about what is beta testing in some other lecture. Now cost is predictable, obviously, because sprints are fixed durations, so cost also becomes bit predictable for each sprint. And client can also more readily understand the approximate cost for each feature. For example, a particular bunch of features we are going to deliver in a sprint, some sprint. Now client will be aware that how much it costed for getting that feature. So they will have that level of detail also. And most important, it allows for the changes. So in Agile, we embrace the changes, and our only motive is, most important motive is, we need to align with the customer's requirement. Now focus on business values. So again, we are our most priority is that we need to align with the client requirements. So we are focused more on the business values, and we want to produce a product of high quality. Focus on users, something same. It improves the quality, we have already discussed. Now let's discuss about the disadvantages. So again, so we have discussed like stakeholder engagement is a advantage, but again it can be a disadvantage, because we need to understand that stakeholder, the clients, might be very busy. They may need to attend many meetings at a higher level with the business, and they need to work for the future requirements. So it is bit difficult to engage the stakeholder all the time. Now Agile works best when the members are dedicatedly working on that particular project. So in a real world scenario, there uses to be a scenario when a single person is been working on multiple projects, maybe 2 or 3 projects, so dividing the time like 30-40%, something like that. Based on the priority, a single person might be working on 2 or 3 projects also at a time. And especially when we are talk about the BAs, they will work on the multiple requirements, so they might be interacting with the multiple set of people at the same time. Now again, so because Agile focus on a time box delivery, the frequent reprioritization, it's possible that some items for delivery will not be completed within an allocated time frame. So what happens when we talk about the iterative process, like we are developing, we are showcasing it to client, getting a feedback, and making some changes. So what happens, it also opens a window for the client that they can change the requirement. So if they are not liking the product, they can change the requirement. So it always opens the scope for that extra work, because we are always interacting with the client, we are taking a feedback. So it may take some time, or it may cost some extra effort for us to accommodate the customers changes. Now another disadvantage is Agile works best when the team members are located in the same physical location, which may not be possible. But we have other ways around, like the video calls or the regular connects. So it's not going to be that big problem, but yeah, it will always be a good if you are in the same space. So even if you ask me from the real world experience, you may able to deliver faster if all your team members are in the same zone or in the same physical location, because you can interact at any point of time, and communication will also be easy. Instead of scheduling a meeting, you can if someone is sitting adjacent to you, you can see the person when the person is free, and you can directly go and talk to him or her, instead of scheduling a meeting. Now the last point, it talks something about refactoring. So first I will explain you what is refactoring. So refactoring is a process of clarifying and simplifying a design of existing code without changing its behavior. So basically it's like maintaining your code. You need to revisit, you need to improvise your code without changing any behavior attributes for it. So in Agile world, we need to maintain our code a lot, because we are working on an iterative model where in every sprint we are building on the previous sprint. So we keep on iterative. That's why it is very important to refactor, to maintain our code, because without refactoring it will become hard to do. So we will see what is the refactoring in detail in our next slide. So before that, I will read out this. The iterative nature of agile development may lead to a frequent refactoring if the full scope of the system is not considered in the initial architecture and design. So what happens that in the starting we are not given all the requirements, but we are aware of only some requirements. But what may happen that the requirements which we will be picking later on, or maybe in the future, that may impact our architecture, and it will also cause the refactoring, and refactoring cause some human efforts. So if we are not doing a refactoring, it may impact the quality. Now we will see what is refactoring. So again, I have picked this definition from the Agile Alliance site. So refactoring consists of improving the internal structure of our existing program source code while preserving its external behavior. So what does it mean? That you want to maintain a functionality of that piece of code, but you want to improvise the code, maybe in terms of the performance or readability. You want to improvise that code. So there are some common pitfalls, like people do understand that refactoring is same as a writing code, but refactoring is not about rewriting a code or fixing a bug. But it doesn't mean that we need to rewrite the code or we need to fix a bug. No, it doesn't mean that. But what does it mean? As I explain you, it is more about the readability. You will be taking out, if some code is like getting duplicated, you will remove that. Or if some part is impacting the quality or the performance, you will improvise on that. And it also helps to, if later on some person is coming in the team, this new member will be easily able to understand the code if it has been refactored. Okay, so this is a definition, some pitfalls and the expected benefits. So let's go to the other slide. Now what is Agile versus Waterfall? So we have already seen what is Waterfall. In short, we have also we now have a high level view of what is Agile. So what are the differences? So we can go point by point. So basically waterfall is a detailed long-term project plans with a single timelines. So planning happens at the very start of the waterfall, whereas in the agile project it's a shorter planning based on the iterations and multiple deliverables. So deliveries. So in agile we are not planning for the future. We are planning only that much which is essential, but we are not putting extra time in planning for the future, 1 year down the line or 6 months down the line. No, we are planning only for one sprint. Now waterfall, it is definitive and a rigid project management and team roles. So in waterfall it's a very rigid, like even it will not encourage the requirement changes, and even team members have very defined roles. But that's not the case in the agile. It is flexible, and we are expecting a cross-functional team composition in agile, so they can help each other out. Now in waterfall, changes in deliveries are discouraged and costly, but it's been embraced in agile project. We have already discussed fully completed product delivered at the end of the timeline. Okay, so in waterfall what happened? A fully developed complete product being delivered at the very end. But what happens in the agile world? We are continuously delivering the product in bit and pieces. So product being delivered in functional stages. So in waterfall, contract based approach to scope and requirements. So there will be some contract, some set of agreement, what are the requirements given by the client, what we are going to develop, what we are going to test. That is a contract based. But in the agile we are working, we are having a collaborative approach. So we are working together with the client now. Now customer is typically involved in the waterfall model at the beginning and at the end, but in the agile customers will be involved throughout the sprint. Now waterfall is a linear phased approach which create a dependency, but agile is a concurrent approach seek to reduce the dependencies. So we are not building any dependencies in agile world. Now this diagram will help us to understand the difference. So if we see a traditional method of waterfall method, in waterfall method we have different phases. So after analysis, then design will come, then coding will come, then the test. This is a very high level view. But what happens in agile, in a single sprint, instead of taking a whole bunch of all the requirements, we will take a bunch of the requirements, we will pick some requirements, we will analyze that, we are going to analyze, code, design and test it, that small set of requirements. So this is a basic difference between a waterfall and a agile method. Now the important question is when to use what, when to use a waterfall and when to use a agile. Now we can use agile if the requirements and the functions, they are subject to change. If a product needs to be developed in a very limited time and a quick prototype with some functionalities is needed before a final product, and if stakeholders are good for the active participations, if team is working on a highly collaborative self-organized manner, so in that case we can go with the agile. If a team is willing to develop the software in installments and a stakeholder is ready for that, then we can go for agile. On the other hand, we can use waterfall when the requirements, they are well defined, they are fixed, and we are not expecting any changes in the requirements, and we need more documentations, and you need a software which has gone through like all the phases, we have all the documentations at place. and a highly planned one, then we can go for a waterfall method. And moreover, resources need not have to work face to face every day in the waterfall method. And one more thing I would like to add here, like in Agile we need more skilled people, because it's a cross-functional team, so every individual need to bring something unique to the team. Now now the final conclusion. We have seen all the things. Now the final conclusion. So Agile is all about the prioritizing, self-organization, time boxing, collaboration, and if we are talking about the Agile and the other methods, so I would say that Agile method are considered to be opposite end of plan-driven or a disciplined method. So basically, in any project, we see the two things: the adaptiveness and the disciplined. So Agile method occupy that adapted bandwidth. Like Agile can adapt easily, and adaptive Agile team will have difficulties describing how much progress will be observed in next iteration, probably what risk might be encountered in the coming future, in the coming sprint, and what functionalities they are going to add to the product. So it might be a problem in the Agile. On the other hand, the waterfall method, it will be a predictive, a plan, well planned for the future, and can exactly tell the software going to develop, but not ready to identify any changes. So basically we can say that every project is different and requires to be handled differently. Hence it is better not to grip on one particular methodology. It depends all on the desire of the company, the project we are working on. So whether they are expecting the changes, or they are not expecting any changes down the line. So depending on all these factors, one need to be elastic in how to approach these these projects for making them successful. No single methodology is the panacea, so the trick is to determine which methods work for us, suits the requirements, and go for it. Thank you. In next lecture we are going to see different methods of Agile and some more terms which are very commonly used and referred in Agile world. Thank you for now.